Okay, there were a lot of questions that people put in. Even now, please feel free to put any questions on the chat. We'll be starting with the question answer that we have curated from your responses. So the first question, Ayush, how did you begin these things and at what time?
So, like in the first year, I was just focused on studies. And in the second year, summer, I started to. So, okay, let me see, take a step back. So, studying at IIIT, it was one of the most amazing things. I was like so happy in the first year, and then I was like, oh wow, if IIIT has so much to offer, I wonder what the top universities will have to offer. And I really want to go for higher education. So I was like, okay, so what do I need for that? Then I came to know, okay, I need research papers. I need good LORs. I need to have good reputation with my professors. So then I looked at what work interests me. I approached some of the professors in the summer of my second year. So then I started exploring the world of research, and that was very fascinating for me. So that's how my journey began. Then I focused for some time in networks, security, privacy. Then, so at that time I was working with HB. You might not know, he was an old professor here. He now shifted to Rochester, New York. So, but that's how I started. And then I, he was a very friendly professor. And I believe still in IIIT, you can find professors who are very friendly, and you can talk in detail about your own research interests and see how those align with their goals, and then work on interesting research projects. So once you start doing that, you yourself get more ideas, and then you can explore with other professors as well. Like after 2015, next year I interned with IBM Research. So the research work that I did with HB in the summer of second year helped me find a place in IBM Research for internship. And then I was working with PK for a long time, for 1 year for my thesis. That was again in privacy. So like all this lead to publishing research papers in top conferences. And then the job at IBM Research, again, a few papers, patents there. And then all of this cumulated landed me up in Oxford. So like I had this vision from the very beginning that I want to go to a top university, not sure where, but that's how everything was aligned, basically.
Okay, that's great. There are a few questions about research. So, how is industry research different from academic research?
So industry research is focused first on what are the requirements in the market. So like, let's say for IBM Research, so we do not start like, my team was focused on industry research. So that was like, so broadly, we were working in the field of education. So we looked at which are the customers which need AI in education. So we had our clients as Sesame Street, then Pearson. So they came back to us and then they expressed their demands. Then industry research basically focuses on how we can cater to those demands by building technology which is novel, which is not using off-the-shelf tools, which is so then the research is more driven towards solving particular problems for the clients. And then like the company looks at what is the most profitable thing, and then they work towards solving those problems. Whereas in academic research, the research can be purely for just increasing the boundaries of knowledge, pushing bounds forward, but they may or may not have specific financial outcomes associated with it at that moment. They might be useful in future, but they might not have immediate financial gains associated with
Um, do you get any like special, like this is just something I got curious about. Do you get any special equipments as well, like while you are at research in industry? Because a lot of times there are a lot of limitations on tools that you get while performing academic research. So is that different for an industry researcher?
Yes, certainly. So, like from my experience doing my master's thesis at Oxford, Oxford also had constraint in the resources that they could provide, but we were collaborating with ZF, which is a German company which focuses on self-driving cars. So we were using their resources, and because of that, we were able to get high-end GPUs and everything, which was very essential for running simulations. And like my group is now, like the group I was working with at Oxford is now acquiring those high-end resources so that that research can be continued forward.
Okay. And how did you like how to decide the domain for your BTP?
So I would say that first look at, so okay, how I started was I was first focused on what I am interested in, and then trying to find professors who are interested in what I am interested in. But that has a fault because what I am interested in is from a very uh, like limited, not like in second till second year we generally have limited knowledge. We do not exactly know what the industry demands, what is this, how much is the scope in each domain. So I would suggest that, like, if you want to decide a deep topic for your BTP, you should see what is the demand of the industry. You should see how much scope is there to do research in that topic. You should see what are the top areas that the faculties are working in, because the faculty also have to give like their, have to plan 5 years ahead or like 2 years ahead what they'll be working on. So they make a more informed choice than we do. So they have also put in a lot of thought in deciding the projects and everything. So rather than starting from yourself, I would suggest start from what is out there and what interests you. Because I might be interested, like I was interested in verification, logic, and so yes, that has limited scope. But fortunately, I was able to like work on that during my master's. So I combined reinforcement learning with logical constraints. So that's how I was able to do what I was passionate in also. But then I did not start from myself. I started from what opportunities are out there and then trying to narrow it down.
That's certainly very helpful. That you need to also look at industry demands while trying to select a good project for yourself. So the next question is, how much research experience is needed to pursue masters?
So I would say that you do not need a lot of research papers to get a master's admit, but having sufficient research experience during your undergrad prepares yourself for the rigor that you have to face in the master's course. Because like at Oxford, 6 months I was doing my coursework and 6 months I was doing thesis. So I would not have been able to do that well if I would not have prior research experience. So it's not just about getting into masters, but also doing well in your masters. So I would say that starting like after your second year, third and fourth year, if you're really interested in pursuing higher education and going into the field of research, you should be working on research in third and fourth year.
And in case, the another question is, if my research interests change near the completion of my undergrad, would it be still possible to pursue a new field even if there are no publications in the new domain?
So like till third year, I was working in network security. So my paper in network security was related to theoretical bounds. So that was very much different from what I ended up doing in my master's. And in fourth year, I was working on identifying spying browser extensions. So that was related to machine learning, deep learning. But the point being that you can switch domains while you're doing your undergrad, while you're applying to your masters also. Like my IBM research work was also different. when they are looking at your statement of purpose during the admission process, what they are looking at is, are you capable enough of doing good research? If we teach you some of the courses, if we give you guidance, are you capable enough to grasp it and then apply it? So that skill is like, if you have gained that skill can be translated to different domains as well. But that being said, it's certainly useful. It's certainly more valuable if you stick to one domain and then continue that. But don't be worried if that's not possible. Like, that's just a good thing, but not necessary.
Okay. So now we'll move to questions based on MS, Masters. Is it really necessary to pursue higher studies to get into research-based branches of a company?
No, because I got into IBM research right after undergrad. But so I got in as a research software engineer. But if I want to be a researcher at IBM, then probably they prefer having a PhD rather than just a bachelor's. If you want to go for a research-based job, I would suggest aiming for a PhD and not just being satisfied with a master's. You can do a master's, or you can directly do a PhD. So yeah, I mean, if you want to go to a top company, research labs, PhD is almost a must.
Okay, so UK has a master's program for 1 year, while US has it for 2 years. Any pros and cons?
So like in the US, when the program is for 2 years, you get an opportunity to do your internship after your first year ends, which is helpful to secure a pre-placement offer for like after the completion of your master's. So that's a good thing. But the advantage with 1 year is that you then directly apply for a job, which is relatively harder to get a job directly than having an internship and then securing a job there. And 1 year masters is very hectic, very rigorous. So it's harder to do as compared to a 2 year masters. What you save on is money, like you have to pay 1 year fees, you don't have to pay for 2 years. So yeah, these are the main pros and cons.
So there's a trade-off in like both cases. So what's a good score for GRE and TOEFL, IELTS?
So it depends on where you're planning to apply. If you're applying for like, I believe all of us are in computer science or related branches. So in engineering, typically 169, 170, 168 out of 170 is a very good score in the maths, whatever that's called, in the math section. And overall, a score of 320 is very good for most universities. Around above 310 is also okay, but I don't think if you get below that, I think you should again sit for GRE and do it again. But then it also depends on where you're applying. So each university typically tells what their average score, the average score of the students who got selected in verbal and quant. Yeah, quant. So yes, we should have a look at that too. And TOEFL in Oxford, 110 was, I think, the requirement. Getting above 110 out of, is it 120? Yeah, I think it's 120. So above 110 was the requirement. And then there are requirements per section also. So you need to see that cutoffs also. So I would say that if you have a list of universities that you're planning to apply, have a look at their websites, have a look at their average GRE scores, TOEFL scores, and then aim to get more than that.
All right. So how much time did you spend preparing for GRE? How did you manage it along with the college?
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time. My friends tell me that I spent way more time than I should have. And this is, so GRE TOEFL is not going to get you an admit. It's just a cutoff. It's just like, okay, you're good enough. Now let's look at your main application. So I personally spent around 3 months preparing for GRE, but there are much better people and much skilled people who just do it in 1 month. So it depends from person to person. I would suggest just giving a mock GRE exam and then seeing how much you need to prepare.
Did you apply to other universities? Why did you choose Oxford? How was your experience there?
So I applied to a lot of places, around 18 places. I got rejected in a lot of them. But at the end, like when I got Oxford, there was like that was one of my dream schools. So I would have probably accepted Stanford or MIT if I would have gotten into those, but I clearly did not. I got into Oxford, and then there was no other university which seemed better to me. So I took that one, and my experience was phenomenal. It was just like I've traveled back in time and been placed in some, um, I don't know, Disney movie or something, Harry Potter. So yeah, if anyone wants to pursue higher education, go to Oxford. I would highly encourage that.
Okay, so another important point, do not be sad if you get rejected from a lot of colleges because you do not know what might be in store for you, like Irish got Oxford. So another next question, any tips for MS preparation?
So as I said before, in third and fourth year, um, focus on research, get research papers. If you want to get into a very good university, maybe do a job in a research lab so that you have more publications, patents, more experience basically. Like my SOP, if it, yeah, I think it was about 2 pages. So one page was entirely about IBM research work, and the second page was about triple IT and the university I'm applying to. And I don't think I would have been able to secure an admission at Oxford if I would have applied directly after triple IT. So even if you do not get enough research experience in your undergrad, you always have the opportunity to work at research labs later, gain that experience, and then get into a very good university. Because it's not like you'll be doing masters multiple times. Although there were friends with me in computer science, like one of my friend was doing his second masters after 10 years. He did his masters in maths first, and then after 10 years he decided to do a masters in computer science. I don't think that's the case with many of us. We'll probably be doing masters just once in our lifetime, so might as well try to get the best one.
There's another question. Any tips for master's tenure and choosing a supervisor for MS?
So this again depends from university to university. At Oxford, we were not supposed to choose a supervisor beforehand. We did our coursework. We thought about what interests us the most. After around 4 or 5 months, we chose whom we do want, what do we want to work on, and we were able to choose our supervisor then. And yes. So, but if you want to write the name of a supervisor just so that you can show that, oh, you've done research about that university and you want to make your SOP strong, then I would suggest looking at the profiles of different professors from that university, not only targeting the popular professors because everyone will be targeting those. So if some university requires you to specify a supervisor upfront, uh, go to their web pages, see if they are taking students or not, because many professors explicitly write on their web page that they are not taking in students this year. So that's also one factor to consider. And it's good if if you have been working on fields similar to what they had been working on in recent times. Don't pick up their paper, which was like from 10 years ago, and say, oh, that works interests me. You would be like, yeah, that interested me too. It does not interest me anymore. So focus on their recent work.
Now moving on to the questions based on industry. How was the job market in 2020 in UK? Any visa issues?
Extremely bad, and extremely bad. So Yes, again, I applied to a lot of companies, got rejection emails almost daily. And even when I got poly, I was almost like, okay, another rejection email, but thankfully it was not. So it was tough. It was a struggle even after completing from Oxford. So nothing guarantees you a job. It's not like you put your resume and you'll get a job. You have to struggle hard for it, no doubt in that. Visa also had been an issue. Like it took around 3 months for me to get a visa. Generally, it takes around 8 weeks, but that's still okay. But like many companies say that they are not going to sponsor your visa. So in UK, you need to find a company first who says that they will be willing to sponsor your visa if you get in, which is unlike US where you can just apply to any company and you already have like 1 year or 2 year work permit after your master's completes. So like that being said, I think it's still manageable. If you start applying early, the struggle is relatively less, but I don't think there is any point where there's no struggle after that point.
So you mentioned you worked in Poly AI and IBM research. Poly AI is a startup. So how is working in a startup different from a well-established company? Any pros and cons there?
Sure. So like in most of the big companies, you're part of something which is very big. So you do not always see the outcome of the effort that you have put in or how that affects in the bigger picture. But in case of a startup, you can immediately see the effect of your changes. Like, so like I'm thinking from various standpoints. Like in IBM Research, that is a big company, but in India there are just 200 people. So that's also like a small company in its own. My team was just 6 people, and we were working on research projects with different collaborators. So that was like a mix of academic research and industry research, because we were still building research prototypes. Like for NTU Singapore, for Sesame Workshop, we were building actual products which were being used by teachers and students in kindergarten. But like this is much more fast paced in a startup environment. Like at Poly AI, the thing that I do, I'm deploying things to production almost every week. So almost every week I can see the impact of what I am doing, uh, like affecting real customers, thousands of customers. So like that's just diverse set of experiences, and I think both are essential to have.
What prompted you to shift from industry to higher studies and then back to industry?
So I think like the goal was always first to get a higher education. So even my job at IBM Research was a research software engineer role, a 2 year contract oriented towards preparing students for applying for masters or PhD. And then once I got that, like then I was free to do whatever I wanted to. So I could have chosen to stick with academic research and gone for a PhD, but that was that was not my cup of tea. So I rather decided to go for a startup environment and then apply what I've learned and then do projects which are affecting real customers in real time.
Lastly, moving on to questions related to college and IIIT. So, tips for beginner or second year college students.
So like I said, you should look at the profiles of professors who are actively publishing research papers, who have larger research groups, because in larger research groups you have more people you can talk to, you can get to know more, learn more. And then academics is very important when you're applying for masters. A good GPA makes an impact, because they do not want to take in students who can't manage their workload, because triple IT is hectic, but masters is even more hectic than what we face at triple IT. So yes, we need to be prepared for that beforehand, and the admission committee should be able to clearly see that in your transcript. But even if you do not have a amazing GPA, you can like focus on other things, like have good publications, and that can help offset your academics. But basically, like starting from first year, second year, focus on having good GPA, doing well in academics, finding research projects, finding good professors who can mentor you academically and in research both.
Okay, so tips for AI learning, AI/ML learnings for a beginner and where to start.
So I think there are enough resources and courses happening in IIIT which will be giving detailed information about this. I have not been extensively working on machine learning. What I am mostly interested in is applying these tools and techniques to different domains. So probably I'm not the best person to answer this.
And next, time management tips as IIIT is very hectic.
So I think it's very important to prioritize things. Like in our school days, there are not a lot of different paths, but when you get into college life, there are so many paths, and everyone is choosing different things that they want to do. Like there will be people who will just be interested in doing startups, so they'll be working on entrepreneurship, building their entrepreneurship skills from the very beginning. Some might be interested in civil service, some might be interested in MBA, some, like there are so many different paths, so it's very easy to get confused. But if you have a clear mindset beforehand, so then you can prioritize things, do limited things, and do them well.
Is it useful to do honors, BTech and honors, BTech with honors?
Yes, when applying for higher education to some universities like Cambridge and Oxford prefer students who have done honors. And but if you're planning to just apply for jobs directly after BTech and not plan for higher education, then I think it's completely fine to skip honors.
Um, there's another question. Is it okay if you like do not do MS at all and you just keep on continuing with your industry experience?
Yes, certainly it's like a personal choice. What MS helps you do is, like, it might be harder to get a job directly in the UK or in the US if you're applying right after your undergrad, but it might be easier if you do a master's there and then you apply for a job at that place. So for me, if I apply for a job in US, it would not really matter that I have completed like a master's in the UK. Like if I want a job in the US, it would have been better for me to go for a master's there. So yeah, I mean, it depends on where you want to work. Are you able to get there with what you have right now?
So I think we're done with our fixed set of questions. If anybody has any questions, you can feel free to unmute and ask. Otherwise, you can put your question in the chat and I will ask them for you. Any questions? Okay, so I think, yeah, how to hunt for scholarships for masters.
So there are certain set of scholarships which are specific to India, like JN Tata Scholarship, KC Mahindra, and then the one by Rotary. So you can target scholarships, different sets of scholarship, one which are specific to India, one which are specific to the university you're applying to, and one which is specific to your college. But like, okay, so Oxford has this collegiate system where university and college are different. So you have a different you have a college and you are part of the bigger university. So if you're applying to Oxford, you have scholarships specific to college and for university.
Any more questions? Okay, no more questions. What is the one thing that you would tell your younger self in college, or any words of encouragement for us?
I think like never be scared of failures, because failures are inevitable. And whatever you see that someone has achieved, that's just what they succeeded in, but you do not know what all they failed in miserably. Like I also, like I told you, I got rejected from so many universities, so many jobs, and then even during my undergrad when I was applying for internships, I got rejected for like 3-4 months. So if you're getting rejected, just know that you're just going towards success, and at some point you'll achieve that, after which all this won't matter. But this is an essential learning experience to reach that point.
Another question, and yeah, thanks a lot for the inspiring words. And I think it really, really makes a difference in the kind of situation a lot of us are in, and so many failures that we face. Um, does Oxford have masters in design?
uh, I'm not exactly sure. So computer science has masters in like just computer science and mathematics, computer science and philosophy, but I do not know about design.
Okay. Another question: does GPA matter if one works in industry after BTech for some years and then apply for higher studies?
Yes, it will matter, and it depends on the university that you're applying to. Some university and master's program are very academic oriented, and some are industry oriented. So it depends on the kind of master's program you're applying to.
Okay, another question. Do you have any tips for master's student at IIIT?
Oh, I have not been in that position, but I think like third and fourth year courses are similar to what courses are offered to master's students. So I think take the courses which are in demand in the industry. Don't shy away from them, even if there are a lot of people taking that course and you think it's useful, you should take it. Even if you think that your GPA would be affected by taking that course, still take that course. It might be hard, but it will be way easier when you enter the job market and you have those skill set. And like even if you are in your job, your role would say something, but then when you're working, you'll have enough opportunities to get into different projects and do different things. If you have that skill set, you can do like machine learning tasks or whatever is that is more in demand, and then your progress will be way faster.
Another question: what will be the bare minimum GPA for required for MS?
So I would suggest like at least having a GPA of more than 8, and above 9 is very good for most universities. But then again, that's not like hard cutoffs. You should again look at universities, what they suggest on their web pages.
Does it differ from college to college?
So like I think Oxford generally prefers students who are like top rank holders in their undergrad programs, or at least had GPA above 9. But I think that's not the case with most other universities.
All right. Another: how to start research and what all should we have in resume for professors to take interest?
So I think if you're a triple IT student, or like whichever college you belong to, you should never be afraid to approach professors of your own college. It should be possible for you to go and talk to them about their research interests, if they have any project which has opening. If the professor is not that approachable, then you should talk to their masters or PhD students who are actively working with them. there, like you have to find that link which leads you to working with that professor.
I think we do not have any more questions. I am leaving a feedback form so you guys can fill it if there was anything not nice in the session or if there was something that you really like. We would love to have your feedback. I think any parting words, Ayush?
So yes, I would like to say this. When I was in my second year and I was talking to a third year and I was talking to HB one day, and he was the professor I mentioned who is like a friend to me even now, and will continue to be, I think, for lifetime. So uh, I, I was talking to him. I was like, I'm very intimidated. People are doing amazing things and I'm doing nothing. I don't know what I'm doing here. I feel like I'm not able to achieve anything. So he was like, okay, what are you looking at? Are you looking at one person? I was like, no, this person is doing this, that person is doing that amazing thing. Everyone is so amazing. He was like, yes, the point is exactly this. You're looking at amalgamation of all which is being achieved. No one person is doing all those things. And you also don't have to do all those things. You just have to focus on like what you want to achieve in life. So, and when you see profiles of any person, just see that, just think that that's one thing that they got, and that there is a big list of failure behind it. Like in my email also, no one said that okay, he got rejected from like 12 universities or 50 job applications. So that's something that we know about ourselves, we don't know about others. So have confidence, apply fearlessly to top places, and just never give up, because like you will achieve amazing things. You will all also be giving AMA sessions. I'm pretty sure it's just a matter of years. There's nothing special. It's just a matter of time.
So thank you so much. Thank you all for attending. And this was a great session. Thanks a lot, Ayush, for giving us your time.
Welcome. Thank you all for joining in. I was very happy to have you as an audience. And thank you for listening so patiently.